Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube. Featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings. The AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST. The NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST. The NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports. Real coverage from real fans.
NFC South Roundtable, how are we doing today? As always, we are back here with another live stream to break down Week 3 of the 2024 NFL season. Some surprising games within the NFC South that we're going to get into. And oh my gosh, the Carolina Panthers, y'all, they actually won a game with Andy Dalton at quarterback. We have so much to break down. So much emotions are already flying behind the scenes. It is going to be a good one. On your way in, though, guys, make sure to leave a big like on the video. Subscribe to the channel for all of your NFC South news. You guys were almost up to 2,000 subscribers last time I checked. In fact, by now, you guys might actually be there. You have been absolutely killing it with the support the last 2 weeks, and it means so much to everybody at Roundtable Sports and, of course, each and every single creator here. So continue to support them. But without further ado, let's start rolling these creators in. As always, too, this video is brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later how you can get an exclusive limited-time offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits. But let's bring in Clay first. Clay,
let's go.
We always start with you last because you know what? You've been in the basement. You're the basement dweller. As much as it sucks to say, it's just a fact. And you know what? The Red Rifle was back at it. He is on fire, and he absolutely killed it in Week 3. Nobody projected your team to beat the Raiders, and you didn't just beat them. You absolutely spanked them. Clay, how are you feeling?
I tell you what, it was a needed win. I'm going to be humble about it, first off. I'm going to be humble about it because it's one game. We got to take it one game at a time. But listen, it just feels good to get that win, right? It just felt good for the locker room, fan base, everything. Like, that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it any more than that. One game at a time.
One game at a time. You know what, Clay? Here's what I'll say to you, too, right? Live this week. Live this week until next week comes because you don't know how many games you're going to win. You don't know what the future holds. So for all we know, this could be the only win that the Panthers get the entire season. So live in this for as long as you can, because let me tell you, when Patriots won Week 1, I was on sky high. And then when they lost the last 2 weeks, I was like, okay, you know what? Back to reality.
Back to reality, yeah.
My advice to you, live in this for as long as you possibly can, because wins in the NFL, they're just not given. But let's go ahead and let's bring on our boy, TJ. TJ, you guys were killing it the first 2 weeks. What happened?
Hey, let me tell you something. My team is 2-1. Nobody expected them to be at that point right now. The only game that they thought they were going to win was against the Carolina Panthers. So we sitting very, 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 very good right now. Been going into the game versus the Atlanta Falcons. I thought that, they played pretty well defensively. So, I mean, it's a lot of positive things that you can still hang your hat on when it comes to the New Orleans Saints, man. They ain't about to kill my mood, man. I'm excited to be here.
I love that, TJ. I love that. Keep being sky high, right? And it was a close game at the end of the day. It's not like you got whooped, right? That was a game that realistically y'all could have won. A lot of people are going to doubt the Saints now that they're not an undefeated team. But you know what? My biggest question for the Saints, right, and this is what we have to see this upcoming week, is going to be, what do they do, right? Do they kind of take that momentum from the loss and say, we're still a top-tier team? We had a couple of things that brought us down, but we're going to learn from that and still be a playoff contender. Or Are they going to let this get to them and say, you know what, we finally lost the game, to hell with it? The way that I see this is it's kind of like when you're in school, high school, college, no matter what it might be, and you're shooting for 90s, you're shooting for that high GPA, and then one class brings you below 90 and you're like, forget it, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. How are the Saints going to roll into week 4 with that mentality? And I think how we come away from week 4 is going to say a lot about the Saints and if they are a true contender or if they're pretenders. But TJ, keep riding it, buddy. Keep riding sky high, because despite that loss, let's keep in mind who y'all lost to, by the way. One of the best teams in the league. I think that, the Saints are definitely here to still play. But let's go ahead and let's bring on our boy Smitty. Smitty, how you doing, bud?
I'm good, man. Ready to get this thing going, man. But I got to say, man, where the hell is your cap at? It's the second week you done that. What is going on?
It's been a few weeks. Do you guys not like me with that hat? Do I look better with the hat on?
Man, that's your trademark.
That's my trademark. Smitty, I'm gonna have to start doing it now. I didn't know it was my trademark. I'm gonna start coming back with it now.
Oh man, hat game.
Man, please do not pump TJ up. They lost. They got their ass whooped in the story.
Here we go.
Oh boy, I can't wait to talk because I can't wait to hear all these excuses.
I think we all got a lot to say, don't we?
Look, you can talk all you want. You can do all this.
I've been talking 2 out of the last 3 weeks, man. What's happening, man?
Carr showed up. The real Derek Carr showed up last week. 84.
We're being honest. Both teams choked. We're being honest. Both teams choked.
Now you got something to say.
ITT Tech talking right now. It's ITT Technical Institute talking right now.
Guys, we got a lot
Carolina Middle School
content to get into. A lot of good content from each of these games. We're going to start breaking these things down. Before everybody asks, where's James? Where's the Bucs creator? He's coming in. He told us before the stream started that he was going to be a little bit late, so he'll roll in here. We're still going to talk about the Buccaneers. We're still going to talk about that loss. It's just going to come a little bit later in today's stream. But before, of course, we start breaking down each of these games, we have to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this video and this channel all football season long. Those are our buddies over at BetUS. Right now, when you guys sign up for BetUS on their mobile app or on their website and you use the promo code YouTube150, that is YouTube150, when you sign up, you will get an exclusive limited time offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by a 125% sign up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. Guys, with the football season officially starting, you want to have a little bit of extra fun, and this is an exclusive offer that you are not going to find anywhere else. BetUS can also give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. You can even get a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year, and BetUS can give you your very own personalized account manager, taking care of you the way that no other sportsbook on the damn platform is going to. Remember that supporting the sponsors that support the channel is the best way at supporting every creator you see on the screen and supporting everybody at Roundtable Sports. So again, most importantly, play responsible. If you or somebody you know or love is dealing with an issue, please reach out, get the help you need. In fact, if you go to BetUS's website, they actually have a page where you can actually get that help that you need, and they will help you out perfectly. So again, go ahead, check out BetUS and use that promo code YouTube150. But guys, let's just get into this. Let's start breaking down these games. And Clay, I feel like you deserve to go first. You deserve to rant. You deserve the floor. Tell me everything that happened with the Carolina Panthers here in week 3. How did they come out with this W?
I mean, competent quarterback play. Let's be honest. I mean, Andy Dalton came out there and the Red Rocket threw for 319 yards and 3 touchdowns. The only quarterback to do that so far this season. Off the bench, 36-year-old, stiff as a board, and just goes out there and fucking slings it. I mean, and the numbers stood out. I mean, Dalton took this offense that looked like a high school JV team last 2 weeks to an actual NFL squad. But it's funny how like this narrative was like Carolina Panthers don't have an offensive line. They don't have wide receivers creating separations. But, I mean, he was finding the open receivers, and the offensive line seemed to be holding him up just fine. So, we weren't just selling into the dirt. I mean, hell, there was a couple of times when you watched the game, the cameraman had to adjust because Dalton was launching the ball so deep. And guess what? Those passes were on the mark. So, I mean, you know, Bryce Young struggled, but, you know, it looked good with, you know, obviously Dalton. I think another thing is that Chuba Hubbard deserves a respect on his name as a running back, like as an RB1. Like he played a leading role in this offense. At least not, you know, at least it wasn't like we've seen in the past where, you know, there wasn't any open run lanes. But I mean, for God's sakes, this guy literally ran the ball 21 times, averaged 5.4 yards a carry, had, I'm not really too sure how many catches he had, but I know he had 55 yards and a touchdown on that and a rushing touchdown. So it was just the whole offense was just firing on all cylinders. And, you know, this narrative that we don't have a run game, we don't have these wide receivers creating separation, we don't have an offensive line. It's just funny how a veteran, competent quarterback can come into this game and actually play ball, you know. But another thing is that this defense actually quietly dominated. The full story, you know, this whole thing doesn't really tell itself unless you watch the game. Like the defense was on point. They held the Raiders for 176 yards and 7 points through 3 quarters. All right. Until those 2 garbage time touchdowns. Let's be real. We've gotten used to seeing these Panthers play like a dysfunctional mess, but not this time around.
All right. So real quick, I just want to know, do you think, before we get into the other creators' thoughts, do you think that the Panthers are going to trade Bryce Young? And do you think that they should trade Bryce Young?
Oh my God, this has been a very tough question.
Not to give you PTSD, Clay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been asking myself about it too. Like, so what's next? That's really the question. Like, Young needs to keep grinding. I think the Panthers need to make some hard decisions here because the clock is ticking and some off season. If there's no major turnaround, you know, you better believe the trade murmurs will get louder right now. It's all about what happens on the field for me. I think that if Dalton keeps balling out and the Panthers keep winning, it's going to be tough to justify going back to Bryce Young. If things go south, well, maybe it'll be time that Bryce gets a chance once again to prove why he was a number 1 overall pick. I just think right now the best thing for the Carolina Panthers is Andy Dalton and going forward for the foreseeable future, but trading Bryce Young, how much we gave up for him, I think that we would have to somehow get some decent amount of compensation to trade this guy. But, you know, I've seen crazier things. So,
all right, TJ, let's go on over to you. What did you think about this Panthers win?
Well, you know, I thought that it was impressive. It also answered the question about who is responsible for, you know, the ineptitude of this team. And you have to lay it on the shoulders of Bryce Young. But I also think it had a lot to do with the fact of the Raiders looked at this game and they looked at it like it was a bye week. I mean, seriously, like you hear all this talk about the Carolina Panthers and how bad they are. Like these guys pay attention to that stuff, regardless to how they want to try to play it off. They didn't respect the Carolina Panthers in this game. And they probably felt like, oh, we just going to go out here, smack them around a little bit. You know, Andy Dalton, 36 years old, he ain't going to do nothing. And, you know, the Panthers stood up and they rallied behind Andy Dalton. And I think that, you know, this might be the energy that they need. You know, as a wide receiver, you just want to feel like when you run your routes, if you're open, the quarterback is going to give you the ball. And Bryce Young has yet to do that consistently in a Carolina Panther uniform. So I think it's a combination of the fact that those guys believed in Andy Dalton. He brought some veteran presence, a guy that understands the game, started in many games. Of course, we know that he had a pretty good career with Cincinnati, so he's no scrub. But I just think that now going forward, we're going to see, because I just think that the Panthers caught the Vegas Raiders by surprise because they didn't expect that type of performance from the Carolina Panthers. But we'll see, man. I mean, look, I know Andy Dalton very personally. Like, Andy Dalton is just like some of these other quarterbacks in the South. One week, you know, they got you bragging on X, bragging on social media. Oh man, they're great, man. Man, we about to win the South. And then the next week, they looking like the second coming of Scott Mitchell. So we'll see, man. I mean, it was good. It was a good win for the Panthers, man. They needed that. I mean, maybe, you know, their tickets will go from 187 to 230.
230. Smitty, why don't you let me know?
All I got to say is this: is that it's one game, and I'm gonna tell everybody else and all the Panthers fans, and I've kept it real with everyone. It's one game at a time right now. One game at a time right now. It's just like Colby said, live in this moment. We're going to live in it. We're going to take it as we can get it because we haven't seen that much competent football in one game, probably since the Packers game of last year with Bryce Young. But again, one game at a time, fellas.
One game at a time. Smitty, why don't you let us know what you thought about this Panthers game?
Well, I was kind of surprised. I'm going to be honest, and I agree with TJ, and I hate to say that. But I think they were underestimating. They were looking forward to the week after. But you got to look at the balance what they had on offense. 319 yards by Andy Dalton, 3 touchdowns. Deontay Johnson, he was former Pittsburgh wide receiver, came out. He's the number 1 now. Chuba Hubbard, dual threat. So they were just balanced on offense and defense. I always know they had the defense. So when you can move the football, control the clock, the defense is going to play better because they're not going to be on the field as long. So in that aspect, I think Carolina, they can build off of this, even though they have a tough schedule. This could give them some confidence. But Andy Dalton, like TJ said, man, showed y'all why he's been in the NFL for so long. But I'm not going to solely blame everything on Bryce Young. I still feel like he should have sat last year behind a veteran and learned the game, get in that film room, and just grow as a quarterback. And then bring him in this year. They kind of did it backwards. You had Andy Dalton. If you had Andy Dalton last year, you let him play until Bryce Young is ready. But now they've taken the car seat, put it in the trunk. Now they put a grown man in the driver's seat. So it was just a complete win. Something that you don't see too often from the Panthers.
Well, you can thank that not benching Bryce Young to lemon drop head David Tepper. So,
And James, welcome to the party, buddy. How are you doing?
Doing good, Colby. Well, I'm doing.
It's all right, buddy. It's all right.
I'm doing okay. I don't like the Denver Broncos. I don't like Sean Payton. My life hurts. I don't know if we've talked about it yet, but I'm sure we'll dive into it. I just want to say, TJ DM'd me. I was the only one who predicted the Panthers to win.
Ooh.
And they won. I'm a believer in the Red Rifle.
Flex on it. I like it. James, why don't you let us know what you thought about this Panthers game?
Oh, I was so happy. My first thought was like, oh God, Bryce Young's never going to play in the NFL again. I mean, my God, you just let 36-year-old Andy Dalton go in there and just put up 36 points. I mean, my goodness. So, I mean, to TJ's point, that really does show that, Bryce Young was probably the main issue there in Carolina. But look, huge win for Carolina. They looked like a completely different football team out there. And, like to Clay's point, we'll see if that continues going forward. But like we've seen in the past, Dave Canales works very well with veteran quarterbacks, Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield, now possibly even Andy Dalton as well. So I'm sure we'll get into it whenever we talk about previews and whatnot here down the line. But it wouldn't surprise me if you obviously don't see this type of Carolina Panthers team every week, but they're certainly a much more competitive team with Andy Dalton versus Bryce Young.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation that the Panthers kind of have here, right? Because do you kind of just give up on Bryce Young now and trade him for some capital? Because from what's been reported, there are several teams that are hitting up the Carolina Panthers about trading for Bryce Young, but they have declined them. And unfortunately, I think that right now, unless Bryce Young comes back and is lighting up the NFL, I think his value is only going to go down the more that you play Andy Dalton and the more that you sit Bryce Young. So they definitely have to think about this the right way, because the Carolina Panthers, they could have the number 1 overall pick. They're probably going to sit somewhere at the very least within a top 5 pick to where maybe they can go after a Shedeur Sanders if they kind of want to restart this process. But, Smitty, I think you kind of hit on this pretty perfectly, and that's the fact that you kind of did this backwards, right? When you did draft Bryce Young, you got rid of a star running back in Christian McCaffrey. You got rid of a number 1 wide receiver in DJ Moore, and you asked a rookie wide receiver to come in and excel the offense past its limitation, something that only veterans can do, and you kind of screwed him up because of it. Now, would he have been better if you did it correctly, or would he still have given you the same kind of prospect or value here? That's the question. That's something we don't ultimately know, but you still did do it backwards. And I think the reason that we're seeing Andy Dalton come out isn't because he's a star quarterback in the league or anything like that, but it's because he's a veteran. Right now, it's not all about the physicality and the physical talent that Andy Dalton has out there or the knowledge of the system. It's the fact that he's a veteran. He can kind of diagnose the defense and see what's in front of him and pick apart the defense. He knows where to put the ball. And because of his knowledge in the NFL, that's what he's using. And that's why he was able to dominate this game the way he does. And that's why we're kind of seeing that what they did with Bryce Young was really the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. So Panthers definitely have an interesting situation on their hands here.
Let me allude to something else there, Colby. Another reason why we're seeing this right now is like I was mentioning earlier with David Tepper. But another thing is that when you got a guy meddling within football operations as your owner, and then you get a coach that doesn't necessarily wanted the guy that you drafted in the first place because your owner wanted him instead. And then you have this guy now, Bryce has gone through 3 different offensive coordinators, basically. And on top of that, it's just been an absolute, and excuse my French, a clusterfuck. And it's just, that's literally what it is. I mean, if we're going to be real, like it's coaching changes, it's playbook changes, it's personnel changes. It's all that into one in the past 2 years. It's a lot on a young guy like Bryce Young, but he's done himself no favors either. So, and for a guy to come off the bench at 36 years old, stiff as a board, and go out there and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and the narrative's been that he has no weapons and he doesn't have an offensive line, you can't really continue to give him excuses.
Yeah, and by the way, these are the current standings after week 3 for the NFC South. You do still have the Saints at number 1 with the 2-1 record. Then you have the Buccaneers in second, also with a 2-1 record. Then you have the Falcons at third, being 1-2, and then the Panthers here also at 1-2. So right now, through going into week 4, everything is still very close. Everything is still very wide open, but these are the standings that you are currently looking at after week 3, brought to you by none other than, of course, Roundtable Sports. But let's go ahead and let's get on to this next game. TJ, why don't you talk to me about what happened with the Saints? Because early on, it did seem like this was a game that you guys were going to win. I feel like you were dominating early on, and then it kind of got away from you as the game went on, and it was a close one at the end of the day. So why don't you tell me what happened here?
Well, I mean, it's just plain and simple. I'm not going to make no excuses. I mean, the Eagles, they came in inspired. I think the game on Monday night against the Falcons and how they lost kind of inspired them, and you combine the fact that everybody was singing the praises of the New Orleans Saints all week long, the high-powered offense, the things that they were doing right, Clint Kubiak, the next, Sean McVay. Those guys heard that, and they came into the Superdome inspired, and they came to play. This was a team that was allowing running backs to average 7 yards a carry. They were hearing about how they couldn't stop the run, how they was at the bottom of the league in rush defense. And they came into the Superdome, and they didn't allow Alvin Kamara, who has been the straw that stirs the drink. They didn't allow him to get started. He averaged 3.3 yards a carry. I mean, he had 89 yards off 26 carries. And, I'm just going to give credit to him. And if Nick Sirianni wasn't as inept as a coach as he is, I think that, the game could have got a little bit out of hand if he would have made some better decisions. But I'm very, impressed at the Saints defense. I mean, the game was 3-0, 10 minutes going with 10 minutes left in the game. I just think that the defense kind of wore itself out. The fact that you had a block punt in the game, a fumble recovery, and an interception, and your offense isn't able to do anything. I just think that it's simple. And I think this is going to be the calling card going forward. Teams are going to come in looking to neutralize Alvin Kamara in the running game, and they're going to trust Derek Carr to try to go out there and try to win a game for him. And if Derek Carr can win that game, then I think they can sleep well at night. But I think we all see now is that Derek Carr, can really win games for you. Like, you need different things around him. The absence of Taysom Hill not being in the game, the fact that Aaron McCoy went out, You had a bunch of offensive linemen that really just looked lost in translation. But once again, that's not even on them. That's on the coaching staff. So because you got to make sure that you're prepared for every situation. The Eagles had their fair share of issues when it comes to the offensive line. I mean, Lane Johnson left the game. Mekhi Becton left the game. So I'm not going to sit up here and make excuses. It just came down to the Eagles seemed like they wanted it more. The Saints couldn't capitalize on the opportunities that the defense gave them, and the defense was on the field way too long. They got really exhausted towards the end of the game, which is the reason why Saquon Barkley hit that 65-yard run on them, and you got three guys running into each other. I mean, that's just going to happen. I mean, there's just so many different there's only so much a defense can do. I don't care if it's the 85 Bears. I don't care if it's the 2000 Ravens. I mean, you got to be able to help out your defense, and the New Orleans Saints offense couldn't do it. Rashid Shaheed was a non-factor. Chris Olave, he made plays in the game, but the running game couldn't get started. Clint Kubiak probably called one of his worst games. I mean, no excuses here. I mean, the Eagles were just a better team on that Sunday.
All right, Smitty, why don't you talk to me? What did you think about the Saints game?
Man, didn't I tell you I had not trust Derek Carr? I told you. But he was absolutely correct. When you contain Alvin Kamara, he's the key to the offense. And if they can't run the ball and move the ball down the field and they get neutralized, it's out of luck. So the defense did play well, but 142-yard pass not going to get it. Alvin Kamara did run the ball for 26 times with 87 yards. But again, he talked about injuries. Injuries are part of the game. Like you said, coaching has to step up. So in that aspect, again, the Eagles did want it more, but you couldn't contain Saquon Barkley when you needed to, point blank. And I think, to be honest, that gives us a great blueprint against y'all Sunday. But again, great game by the Eagles, and Derek Carr is just Derek Carr, and I'm going to keep it at that.
I'm gonna give it at that. All right, James.
I cannot wait for you. I cannot wait for you to talk about this Falcon game. Go ahead. I'm done.
Oh, it's on tomorrow. Trust me, it's on.
James, why don't you speak to me? What do you think about the Saints game?
Well, firstly, the Falcons. Oh, good Lord, next week is going to be wild. But to the Saints' point, look, I still think that this defense is so legitimate for the Saints, right? Like, that was one of my bigger takeaways from the game. The offense did take a step back, right? With Clint Kubiak, with, Derek Carr there. And that was expected, right? I think we had talked about it. You can't expect that offense to continue to be putting up 30 plus points every single game. To TJ's point, Rashid Shaheed not being a factor. Chris Olave getting some work now. I believe Eric McCoy is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks now for the Saints. There's a lot of factors going into this offense taking a bit of a step back there. And the Eagles just had a really good game plan, right? They recognized what the Saints did on offense to succeed the past couple of weeks. That was getting Alvin Kamara going. That was getting Rashid Shaheed a couple of opportunities. That was, some of the main aspects of their offense. You take those aspects away in this game, or they aren't performing as well, and the offense just couldn't keep up. Again, kind of an unlucky situation in terms of that final play with the 60-yard completion to Dallas Goedert, where, to TJ's point, the two defenders ran into each other. But ultimately, an encouraging point is that defense still played incredibly, incredibly well. But this is a tough loss, again, in your home stadium. It was a winnable game. And the offense will have to improve going forward for the Saints.
Yeah, I think you guys are hitting upon this perfectly too. I mean, I feel like the blueprint for the Saints is pretty clear. I don't feel like it's anything super outlandish or creative. At the end of the day, you need Alvin Kamara to cook in the receiving game and in the rushing game too. You gave him the rock 26 times, but averaging 3.3 yards per carry. You're going to need more out of that when, again, you're running the ball 26 total times. And, Shaheed, I mean, that's a guy that really through 2 weeks has produced very, very well for you. And when he has produced, your offense is lighting up. So I think kind of the blueprint for the Saints, if you're going to win games, you're going to put up this many points each and every single week. It has to be finding ways to get Alvin Kamara into space and create plays, but also doing the same thing with Shaheed, because if those guys don't produce, your chances at winning the game seem like they will significantly go down, because that is like the core to your offense. But Clay, why don't you speak to me? What did you think about the Saints game?
Yeah, let's be real. It was an ugly game for the Saints. They had some turnovers, they had some key stops and key plays, but I think what was the turning point of the game was when Eric McCoy went down. It was like everything started to unravel. The pressure on the line piled up when it came, to closing out the game. The Saints couldn't really muster up a single yard. So, and then on the defense, they had some struggles in this game. They let Philly convert a big third down. I think it was like 3rd-16 because whatever reason, but Dallas Goedert ran right through them after some miscommunication, and the Eagles were back in front. They let Philly rack up 460 yards of offense play after big play. So you wonder, how the hell do you expect to win a game when you're bleeding yards like that? I think there's plenty of blame to go around. It isn't any of it, is any of it relevant? Probably not. We could talk about how the offense looked off or how the defense couldn't make stops, but the bottom line is the Saints were still in position to win this game. If they pulled it out, we'd all be talking about how they're gritty and resilient, but no, they choked it away. I'm sorry. Like, they've got to prove they're really different this time. And it's in these situations, it's put up or shut up. So unfortunately, Derek Carr is Derek Carr at the end of the day. The Saints are still sitting at 2-1. And obviously everyone's wondering what week 4 will bring against the Falcons.
It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. Now, before we continue on to the rest of these teams and we get into our ad read, I do actually want to get into a couple of the super chats. Keep in mind that when you guys do give super chats, it supports everybody here at Roundtable Sports and especially each of the creators here. If you want to get your question, your comment, your concern thrown up on the screen in front of everybody live here on YouTube, have it answered by all the creators here, donating is the way to do it. But we got Big Valley, am I saying that right? Coming in with a $2 donation saying, got our ass whooped. We only lost by 3. So, hey, it looks like Saints fans are coming in being like, look, you want to say we got our ass whooped, but at the end of the day, we played a top tier team in the NFL and we only lost by a field goal. Let's see. Coming in next is Who Dat for Life with a big $5 donation. This one's for you, James. It looks like says, hey, James, how come Cardi B, before she was a money-making rapper, was better at running game than the Tampa Bay suck?
Oh no!
God.
James, you want to answer that for us?
If we're talking about the Tom Brady Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I'll take the Super Bowl win. Thank you.
Oh, you'll take the Super Bowl win. All right. By the way, I put White in my fantasy league for like the last 3 weeks, and bro just continues to crap the bag.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed, man. I'm disappointed. I feel like he should be doing better, right? Like, this offense is cooking under Baker. Why can't he cook a little bit, right?
I just picked up Bucky Irving, so
anybody got to be better than White at this point, man. Let me tell you. Shaka comes in with also a $5 donation saying, truth be told, if the Eagles had a coach that wasn't playing Madden, the score would have been worse for the Saints. Take the points. TJ, what do you think about this?
I think that the game probably would have been, they probably would have had a few more scores, and it probably would have been a little bit of trouble or adversity that the Saints had to deal with. But, look, the Saints only allowed one of an explosive offense with a mobile quarterback and a really good running back to 15 points, right? So, look, I just look at it like, if anybody just thinks that the Saints are going anywhere, like, it's a joke. And, like I said, but I'm just going to let everybody see. I'm looking around the NFC South. I'm looking at these teams, and I'm just telling y'all right now, what's the date? It's September 23rd, 2024. The Saints are going to win the division, and the Saints are the best team in his division. I stand by that. You lost your starting offensive line, your center. I want people to understand, teams lose games or fail to cover 80% of the time when their center is not in the game, when they lose their center in the middle of the game. So it was an uphill battle. But like I said, the Saints got the best team in this division. I stand on business when I say that.
Yeah, dude, Robert Saleh is going to be fired by the end of the season. Like, I hold ground on that. I was surprised he didn't get fired this offseason. Let me tell you, Bill Belichick is going to be back here coaching for the NFC East. I don't know if it's going to be the Giants or the Cowboys or the Eagles, but it is going to be one of them, and they are going to be running at Bill Belichick for that sweepstakes. Let me tell you, they are going to be.
He finally going to go to the Jets?
Yeah, oh, dude, forget the Jets. Forget giving me PTSD right now, TJ. I don't even want to talk about it. But Steelers Nation Australia coming in saying can't wait to see the Panthers and Andy Dalton beat the Bungles. Look out, 0-4 Bengals, LOL, haha. I believe this is also our Steelers creator. So how about that? Shout out to the Steelers too, by the way, who are
Appreciate that.
Cooking in a way that I don't think anybody expected them to. Really showing the fact, right? I think the Steelers are a really good example on good coaching can make a bad roster, or at least a kind of a questionable roster, look a lot better than it is. And a bad head coach can make a great roster look absolutely terrible. So shout out to Mike Tomlin, easily one of the best head coaches of all time. But let me pull this up. Before we do continue on, we get into these final two teams, I do want to give a massive shout out to our next sponsor of today's video. Those are our buddies over at Shinesty. You guys know them. You love them. You love the ad read every single week. And if you want to continue to hear the ad read every single week, make sure you guys go ahead and support Shinesty. Right now, we are giving away a 10% off with the link in the bio using promo code RTS10. Again,
I have those cock ones.
RTS10. You have one of these? You got one? Wait, did you say you have one of these? Hey, yo, wait, look. One thing I will tell you about Shinesty,
he got the draws though.
Shinesty's doing it away that absolutely nobody else is. The comfort level of Shinesty underwear is something that you are not going to find anywhere else. Rather than feeling like your balls are being strangled, it feels like they are bouncing on a cloud throughout the day. Zero swamp ass. Let me tell you, they are also doing things and designing these underwear the way that nobody else is. I mean, look, if you believe in America with the election coming right around the bend, by the way, check out the Roundtable Sports election merch, link in the description box below. We got an eagle strategically placed, very strategically placed. By the way, let's see, can we find some of the Halloween ones? There you go. Go ahead. Show your shot of your Halloweener, guys. Let me tell you, they even have a pair that are like glow in the dark, just in case you're trying to get a little special at night and the lights are off. Your girl or your man is not going to have any problems finding you in the middle of the night when it matters most. So again, make sure you guys go ahead and check out Shinesty, improving the underwear game the way that nobody else is. Get a 10% off with the link in the description box below using promo code RTS10 at checkout. But let's go ahead. Let's move on and get into these final two games. Smitty. Why don't you tell me what happened here with the Falcons?
Missed opportunities. Just like week one. They took a backseat week 3, and they had a chance to win the game. We know about the pass interference call. They still had a chance to win the game. I did still see some positivity with Kirk Cousins continually gradually growing this system. The defense is still playing strong, and they pretty much shut down Patrick Mahomes, but shot themselves in the foot. And that 4th down play call, I was pissed about it. And I think that's going to come back and hunt us down the road. But again, the defense played well. The offense is gradually continuing to grow. And I feel like we played well against the best team in the NFL, and we could have beat them. But again, this is another learning opportunity and a building block. So I think we get stronger going forward.
All right. Short, simple, sweet, to the point. And you know what, Smitty? Here's the thing, buddy. If you're a Falcons fan, I feel like you can't be too hard on yourself here just because, look, the reality is the narrative about the Chiefs is real. And that's the fact that I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's Taylor Swift, but the refs have helped the Chiefs several times over the last 3 weeks. There is a reason why this controversy is around the Kansas City Chiefs. And yet again, some controversy around this game specifically with a bad missed call. And this game down to 5 points total. So again, one big call can make a big difference. And I think that's a big reason. The refs are a big reason why the Chiefs are still undefeated. But James, why don't you talk to me about what you thought about this Falcons and Chiefs game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough loss. I think for the Falcons, they still showed that they to Smitty's point, can be competitive against the best team in the NFL, the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. So that's good progress. I thought that the defense still showed some good ability. The offense was a bit lackluster overall, in my opinion, but the Chiefs do have a good defense. The Chiefs do have a lot of good weapons. Again, to Smitty's point, just a couple of missed opportunities, a couple of missed situations that could have turned the tide for them in this game, but unfortunately didn't. The Falcons have had such an interesting season so far this year, where a couple of situations went their way against the Eagles, and now the reverse happened here against the Chiefs. So, where does the actual Falcons team lie? Well, probably somewhere in the middle. So, again, this was a tough loss for the Falcons, but I do think they showed some good ability, again, still on the defensive side of that ball.
All righty. And Clay, why don't you let us know what you thought about this game?
Yeah, I mean, let's call it like it is. The offense folded harder when it came into crunch time. 2 chances late in the game, both wasted like a drunk guy at last call. Let's be honest. Like, you're sitting here at the 7-yard line, less than 5 minutes to play. Kirk Cousins couldn't deliver. 2 incomplete passes. That's just a waste. And then they screwed it up again on the next possession. They marched in the Chiefs territory again, only to blow it on 4th and inches with a laughable sweep to Bijan Robinson that got snuffed out in the backfield. And it was a 4th and inches. This isn't Madden, guys. This is real life. Like, to make matters worse for the Falcons, they finished the night with a pitiful 2 of 9 on 3rd down and 1 of 3 or 4th. So I get it. The Chiefs are the Chiefs, 6 and 3. The Chiefs were 6 of 13 and 1 for 1 in those 3rd and 4th downs. But that's how you win games. I will give credit where credit is due. That Falcons defense looks good. They showed up in the 4th quarter. They held up the Chiefs just to 16, I think, yards. I think it was net yards, something like that. And of course, it was just too little, too late, because they got worked over in the 2nd and 3rd quarters. Kansas City ran all over them after opened the drive up with an interception, scoring only on 5 of their next 6 possessions. So 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals were more than enough to bury the Falcons. I think the defense definitely made some stops late, giving the offense some chance to redeem themselves. But when your offense can't score in clutch moments and your defense lets Mahomes and company do whatever they want for most of the game, it doesn't really matter what you do in garbage time. But I will say that call in the end zone, we might need to call the NFL on that one.
It seems like they'll come back about any other call and be like, yeah, like that should have been called, or yeah, we messed up. But when it comes to the Chiefs, like you hear nothing about these terrible calls. I mean, week 1, who was it? Spags running down the field calling a timeout. Yeah. We all know the head coach is the only one that can call a timeout, and the league allowed it. They said nothing about it. It's clear. There's no way to get around it at this point. TJ, why don't you tell me what you thought about this Falcons game?
I looked at this game, and to be honest with you, the Falcons are who I said they were. They're a middle of the pack team. They improved just like every other team in this division. They're not better than any other team in this division. Falcon fans got one famous saying, 5 words: I'm proud of my team. That's all you hear every single time, because they always have these moral victories. The reality is, everybody wants to pay attention to that pass interference call, and I was prepared for this particular moment. So bear with me. There was a pass interference call. Yeah, okay, it was supposed to be pass interference. But I want to walk y'all through the process of what happened after they forced a 3-and-out from the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a illegal hands to the face, an automatic first down. There was a pass interference call that gave them 11 yards. And then there was a illegal contact or a personal foul penalty that gave them 15 freaking yards, folks. 15 yards. So everything that they talking about, oh man, the refs, they screwed us. Y'all still had an opportunity to go ahead and beat the Kansas City Chiefs. 4th and inches, and you couldn't get 1 yard. Now, am I being petty? Well, let me ask y'all this. When the Saints in 2018 didn't get that pass interference call. What did everybody say? Well, they possessed the ball in overtime. Y'all just couldn't get the job done. Cry me a freaking river. Once again, Kirk Cousins, the statue that he is a guy that is going to give you really good moments, going to give you hope, just like Derek Carr, and he's going to continue to wet the bed, just like Derek Carr. The Atlanta Falcons are better defensively. The Atlanta Falcons running game is legit. Offensively, as far as the offensive line, they got the best offensive line in the division. And that is one of the main reasons why, I look at this football team and I laugh every single time because they should not be in this position. They sit at 1-2. The NFL even handed y'all some of y'all toughest opponents inside of your own freaking stadium, and you couldn't get the job done. I look at this team and I just smile because you have no reason to be talking about how proud you are of this team because they gave you some type of moral victory. When you look at the numbers, none of these teams are supposed to be in a position that they're in. The Atlanta Falcons are supposed to be leading the pack. So when we looked at the numbers, the odds, they were at the top. So why are they 1-2 despite the fact that they're supposed to have the best quarterback in the division, the best running back in the division, the best offensive line in the position, and y'all supposed to have the best safeties and defense? Like I said, man, the Atlanta Falcons are a middle of the pack football team. And honestly, you're probably not going to win anything until the organization realizes that Michael Penix is your best choice. And until that happens, y'all going to continue to fall short, be right in the middle of the pack. Y'all have improved, but everybody else has too. And y'all just not as good as you say you are, because if you were, then you would have beat the Steelers. You have beat the Kansas City Chiefs, but you didn't.
TJ coming in with some absolute heat.
You done?
Oh, yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Just remember you said that because you just gave us the key to victory to beat y'all. Without Derek, y'all can't move the ball with Derek Carr. Just think about it.
Y'all can't move the ball without Bijan.
I trust Kirk Cousins more than I trust Derek Carr.
What you don't understand is the Saints are going up against the Falcons every single week in practice. Y'all the same exact team. Y'all got an underachieving quarterback. Y'all got a running back that can catch the ball out of backfield, basically Alvin Kamara. Y'all got a wide receiver that's on the middle of, on the cusp of being elite, Drake London, Chris Olave. Y'all got a down the field threat, Ray McLeod, Rashid. Y'all got the same exact team.
Y'all stop our front seven.
Y'all got the same exact team. Y'all got the same exact team.
No,
Terry Fontenot basically went to New Orleans and started taking notes. Y'all got the same team. Okay, you're gonna see. You'll see.
All right, guys, check it out. We have 294 people watching, but we only have 102 total likes. Make sure you guys leave a big like on this video. There is absolutely no reason why we should not hit the 250 like button goal by the end of the stream. That is coming to an end after we get into this last game. So please make sure you guys do leave a big like on the video. You guys are killing it with the super chats right now, but also keep in mind, one of the best ways to support the channel and all of these creators is by subscribing, commenting, sharing the video, and leaving likes because it helps out the algorithm so much and pushes this video, this channel, all these live streams out into the YouTube universe. So please make sure everybody hits that thumbs up button right now. But before we get into this last game, I do want to get into a couple of these super chats here. Telvin comes in with a $5 super chat, says, we lost by 3. Shut up. We won on the road by 1. Y'all don't respect that, so I don't care about how close y'all lost by. Woo! Coming in and giving some shade to the Saints. How about that? Terrell comes in with a $5 donation saying, Shaka drinking that juice because my Saints left a lot of points on the floor also. So looks like we got some Saints fans coming back in and giving a little bit of a punch. Luke comes in with a $5 donation, says bold prediction for drama's sake. We'll all be at 2-2 by the end of week 4. Some bold predictions coming in. I like it. I like it. Steelers Nation Australia coming back at it again with another $5 donation saying it 100% is. Great content, fellas. Go Baker. making the Browns look crazy for letting him go. So again, shout out to our Steelers creator here at Roundtable Sports. All these creators showing love to the individual channels. We absolutely love that. So everybody go ahead, make sure you give some love to Steelers Nation Australia, Roundtable Sports Steelers creator coming in, showing us some love. I thought that was you too, bro. I thought I said Steelers Nation Australia. How many Steelers fans do I know from Australia that support this team? I think you might be the only one. Shout out to you, buddy. But real talk, I mean, the Browns letting go of Baker, who's cooking right now, and the Browns look like they're back to Browns form, being like a bottom tier team in the league right now, especially with all that drama going around with Deshaun Watson. But Rod comes in with a $5 donation saying, Petty TJ was on cloud 9 last week, but now he down to reality. Hashtag
I don't think I'm down. I don't think I'm down, Rod. I think you want me to be down, but I'm not down. I mean,
And
why
shout,
would I be?
shout out to the chat for getting us to 2,000 subscribers.
Thank you.
2000, y'all are at 2.1 right now, or 2010, I should say. So you guys have been killing it. 2 weeks ago, we hit 1,000 live on the
Something
show.
like that,
So
yeah.
you guys are absolutely killing it over the last few weeks. We really, really appreciate that. And shout out Chris for coming in, just donating a $2 donation. Looks like he's a Saints fan, so we appreciate that, buddy. But James, why don't you break down this final game for me? Obviously, a lot of hype for the Buccaneers going into this game, a game that everybody thought that you guys were going to win, but that doesn't happen. You take your first loss, and unfortunately, the Broncos, they get their first win of their season.
Hey, at least this one wasn't debatable, right? Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, the Bucs got slam dunked on. Good Lord. Hey, we're talking. At least TJ and Smitty got to say, like, oh, man, missed opportunities. What? Bucs didn't even have opportunities. We just got destroyed. It was awful. Everything that could have went wrong went worse than wrong. I mean, good Lord. Sean Payton I actually saw a stat. I think Sean Payton is 7-0 now against Todd Bowles when coaching against him.
Crazy.
Good Lord. Wow. Bo Nix looked fantastic. Their defense looked amazing. Baker was sacked 7 times in this game. So that wasn't fun. I think I heard it was either Clay or TJ said that the Raiders had kind of overlooked the Panthers and got destroyed. Similar situation for sure. Like I think that a lot of people overlooked the Denver Broncos, and the Broncos just came out and dominated, man. So now the biggest question for the Bucs is, okay, how are they going to respond? Are they going to, take this loss and use it as motivation, or are they going to have this define who they are as a team going forward this upcoming season? Those are the biggest questions. And yeah, man, there's not much else to say. I mean, look, Bucky Irving looked good. That was encouraging. Baker did okay given the circumstances. I mean, he was absolutely getting crushed. Chris Godwin had a touchdown, which was nice. But that was about it. I mean, there was really nothing else that went positive for the Bucs in this game. Their kicker made his 1 extra point, so shout out to him for that. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
Alrighty, Clay, why don't you talk to me about this game?
Yeah, I mean, can we talk about how Mike Evans was like criminally underused? Like, Liam Cohen, what are you doing, dude? Like, this dude's been talking all season about. And I know that James knows what I'm going to say when I say this. Liam Cohen came out and said that they were going to focus on players over plays. And when it mattered, I think they completely forgot Mike freaking Evans. Like, Mike Evans is your best receiver. He's a top tier threat in the NFL. What does he get? 3 targets. It doesn't help though when Baker's laying horizontal 7 times though. He caught 2 pathetic 17 yards while Chris Godwin got all the shine with 6 catches, a touchdown. I don't care if Godwin's balling out, but Evans needs more looks, if you're a Bucs fan, right? Like, Cohen, you got to get your head out of your ass, feed your top tier wide receivers. The Bucs pass rush was non-existent. If Bo Nix had any nerves as a rookie quarterback, the Bucs defense sure didn't bring him out. They couldn't get any pressure on him. Their lives depended on it. So that doesn't help your cause either. Baker Mayfield, just in this game, particularly, he looked like hot garbage, plain and simple. And I think it's because the O-line unit was just an absolute train wreck. This might have been one of the worst games by Tristan Wirfs. And Cody, how do you pronounce his last name? Cody Mock. I mean, got beat like a drum. And Graham Barton, the rookie who I liked out of Duke, was a whole mess. And without Luke Godecki, how do you say it? Gedeke. Okay. It's even worse. So the Bucs had no business losing to the Broncos, let alone getting curb stomp at home. But they were 2-0 feeling good, and then just completely shit the bed. And from a coaching to execution, everything was a disaster. But I think they'll bounce back. I think the Tampa Bay Bucs they'll bounce back.
Alrighty, let's go on over to TJ. What did you think about this Buccaneers game and them taking their first loss?
Well, I was kind of shocked at the results of the game, but when I started to kind of do my little research, I just realized, Sean Payton is 7-0 in the regular season against Todd Bowles, and his offense averages 29.7 points a game, which is insane. So to say that Sean Payton has Todd Bowles' number, it would be an understatement. Now, Todd Bowles beat him when it mattered most in that divisional round, but I mean, it was just every now and then you just go up against someone that just has your number. And, I just think that Sean Payton, who has been in the NFC South, as the head coach of the Saints all those years, he understands Tampa, he understands Todd Bowles, and I think it paid dividends in this game. But I think that Tampa, they'll bounce back, man. Like sometimes you got to get hit in the mouth, sometimes taste your own blood for you to realize that you're in a game here, or you're in a fight rather. So I think they'll bounce back, but it's a learning experience, man. Rome wasn't built in a day. None of these teams, I hope, weren't expecting to go undefeated the entire season. And it's game on in the NFC South right now.
All right. Lastly, Smitty, let's get to you. What do you think about this Bucs game?
One that special, man. Sean Payton just did what he usually do. Try to run the football, control the clock, and make the timely throws, and that's exactly what Bo Nix did. Again, 7 sacks against Baker Mayfield. That's going to rattle him by halftime. If you look at how the Bucs are constructed, if Mike Evans or Godwin is shut down, they are shut down. Because as you said earlier, Rashad White, he's not doing anything. So their running game is non-existent. If you're one-dimensional, that kills your offense, and it makes you predictable. And Peyton took advantage of that. And that's about all I have to say about that.
All righty, guys. Well, before we go ahead and wrap up the stream, we do have some more super chats to get into. So let's read these off here real quick. T. Riley coming in with a $5 donation says, tell him, TJ, Falcons suck. Coming in from Japan again. So I believe that this is the same person that donated last week, but coming from Japan, checking in, which is absolutely dope. I've heard a lot of really cool things about Japan. It's actually one of the places I want to visit one day. I've heard a lot of really cool things about them. But it says, who dat? Who dat, TJ? Let's see. Who do we have coming in next? We have Devin. Am I saying that right? Devin coming in. $5 donation. Divine coming in with a $5 donation. Either way, that's a dope name. I don't think I've heard that one before. $5 donation coming in saying Falcons fans just salty because the 40-point games started with them in week 18 last year. Who dat?
We talking about last year. That was last year. Let that go.
A statement I hear quite often.
Chris is coming back in with a $2 donation saying the Chokelana Falcons are going to be crying again. These Saints fans are just dropping hell on Atlanta right now. My God. Jamie coming in with a $5 donation saying we played like shit this week. We couldn't get any pressure on Knicks. Go Bucks till death. Hashtag red and, does it say pewter?
Yes.
Red and pewter. What's that about? Am I missing something?
That's the team colors.
That's the team colors.
Red and pewter?
Yes.
Pewter? What is pewter?
It's a shade of gold. It's a shade of gray.
I have never heard of pewter in my life, dude. Absolutely. Maybe I'll make my walls pewter now.
You learn something new every day.
Pewter walls.
You learn something new every day. Red and pewter. How about that? I thought that was like a joke at first. All right. Rod coming in with another $5 donation saying, hey, Aints fans, I think I still see Saquon running. Do you? Hashtag rise up, man. These Falcons fans and Saints fans, y'all are going back at it with each other all night long, and I'm absolutely loving it. But guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's week 3 recap here on the NFC South Roundtable. Again, another big shout out to BetUS. Make sure you guys go ahead, check them out, sign up using the promo code YouTube150. Again, that is YouTube150 for a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by a 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. Again, all you got to do to get this exclusive limited time offer, go to their app, go to their website, sign up and use promo code YouTube150 in order to get this deal. Remember, supporting the sponsors that support the channel supports everybody you see on the screen now and everybody behind the scenes at Roundtable Sports. But we have a pre-recorded video to make for you guys that's going to drop later this week, previewing week 4 and each of these creators' thoughts on their matchups heading into the week. We appreciate you guys so much for watching. Please make sure on your way out you subscribe to the channel here at the NFC South Roundtable for all of your NFC South news. We will be live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, just like we are every single week. Please make sure you guys leave a big like on the video on your way out too. 272 of you guys watching right now, but still only 160 total likes on your way out. Please, guys, leave that thumbs up because it helps support us tremendously. But without further ado, guys, we appreciate you for watching. As always, we'll see you next week. And of course, most importantly, stay safe.